Myself to be quick here because I only have about 3 minutes to get home, and then after that I'm going to hot yoga. I'm gonna sweat my you know what off, my fat butt. I'm gonna sweat that fat butt right off. And it gets really hot in there too, man. I was in there one night and the lady forgot to check the thermometer, the thermostat, and it got up to like 108 degrees. I am not kidding you. I mean, she's supposed to like intervene at 104, right? But she forgot, and I knew it was getting hot. And you do get used to it, but I knew it was getting hot. I said, if that thing goes to 108, I'm telling her. Or 109, I think I said. If that thing goes to 109, I'm going to speak up. But I think it went to 108. I told her afterwards that I had my eye on it, and she was very nervous. She was very concerned, you know. Like she knew that she messed up bad. But anyway, that was blistering heat, let me tell you. 108 degrees exercising. Woo! Wow. But it is awesome. At least I think it is. It feels good to sweat like that. But anyway, this is going to be really short. I just want to make a little commentary on something I've been thinking about. A very small commentary. I don't really have that much to say about it. And it's the trendiness in the churches, right? Now, when I was a kid in church, they used to talk about the end times all the time. It was like the big fad, you know? All these movies about just basically like fear porn, more or less, about the Antichrist and blah, this and this, and, you know, the beast, and Revelation, the beast. I mean, all this kind of weird, you know, stuff. And really, it was fear porn. I mean, to be honest with you. But I'm sure the people that put it all together had some rationale, to make it all, you know, justifiable. Sophistry. It's always sophistry, you know. I mean, maybe, I don't know. So there was that, and then in the 80s and the 90s, it was the abortion thing, and you know, now, you know, it's just so bizarre. It's like bizarro world. Nowadays, it's like garden club. It's like all the churches are obsessed with being a garden club. They, you know, basically like tea and crumpets and scones and tea, and you know, it's just like nobody wants to say anything controversial, and the only people they stand up against are the people who are taking a stand. I mean, they basically, they're just like in league with the establishment to whack everybody back in line who's not in line, you know. And to me, that's just bizarro world, man. I mean, you claim to worship Jesus and represent Jesus, and yet you're going around whacking people when they get out of line and try to get them back in line and intimidate them and get up in front of people and call out people for putting things on Facebook that they don't like. It's like, you know, it's just weird. You know, like my preacher does it. He doesn't like what I put on Facebook, so he gets up there and talks about troublemakers, and I think he said it was evil one day to write stuff on Facebook that he doesn't like. I about fell out of my chair laughing when he started that one. Oh man, but it really is. It's bizarro world, you know, because Jesus was the ultimate outsider, right? I mean, the guy was homeless. He went into the church and kicked over tables and whipped people, or scared them with a whip. It never says that he actually hit anybody, but he scared everybody away with a whip. You know, the interesting thing is, the thing that fascinates me is that Jesus never objected to the Roman government. I mean, he just had an issue with the spiritual leaders, you know. And it's like these Christian leaders think because they're not Jews that they can't be rolled up under that same category as religious leaders. Isn't that ironic? All of these garden club leaders, organizers, all these garden club organizers are up there acting like the biggest, what do you call it when you don't like Jewish people? What's that called? It's not racism. It's anti-Semitism. I mean, all these stupid little words and phrases. Like, nobody should dislike anybody. I mean, that's the bottom line. Who cares if it's racism, anti-Semitism, this flavor of bigotry, that flavor? I mean, the point is, you just don't dislike anybody as a result of their nationality or their affiliation or religious affiliation, or just anybody at all, on an individual level. I mean, if you got a whole group of people as a group are creating problems, I mean, there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, those people are causing a lot of problems, But as individuals, right? I mean, you got to love and be respectful and give everybody a first chance, and a second chance, and third chance, and fourth chance, as many chances as you can give a person on an individual level. I mean, I don't know. That's the way I look at it. But they get up there and they act like because they're not Jewish, that somehow they're not subject to the same kind of scrutiny that Jesus gave the spiritual leaders of his day. And I'm like, well, that's bizarro. It's like you're anti-Semites. It's like you think you're better than the Jewish religious leaders. No, you're just a religious leader, man. I mean, Jesus didn't have very much nice things to say about your kind. As a group, as an individual, you might be the greatest religious leader in the history of the world. Who knows? I don't know. I hope you are. And if you're not, I hope you become that. But anyway, it's just bizarre how they subscribe to to these fads. I mean, how, like I said, in the 70s, it was all about the fad of the end times. In the 80s and the 90s, it was the fad of the abort. Now they won't touch either. Now it's like the fad of the garden club, I mean, I don't necessarily think being obsessed with any one issue or any other issue is a good thing. I mean, I would like to see some true, sincere conversation in the church about these issues. Like, for example, Jesus never mentioned anything about abortion. They had abortion in the Roman days. Jesus never talked about the Romans who took their babies, like newborn babies, out to some wall. I can't remember what it's called, but they would just lay the babies down, probably deformed babies or just unwanted babies, and they just let them down and just lay them down on the ground and walk away, and they died. Or, and then apparently, eventually, some of the early Christians, and probably genteel, compassionate people in general, Romans even, that cared about humanity and had hearts, still had some of their humanity, a shred of their humanity left, would go out there and pick up some of the babies and take them home and, take care of them and raise them as their own, But, so, I mean, that, to me, that's an interesting point, But, it just won't touch controversial issues, The thing that really kills me, the thing that really sets me off, is when somebody tries to indoctrinate me. And anybody who stands up and says, this is the way it is, it's like, no. I don't know who you think you are, and I don't know who you think you're talking to, and I don't know why you're trying to indoctrinate me with your opinion, because that's all you have to offer is your opinion. I'm going to listen respectfully, but I'm going to take it under advisement. I'm not going to sit here and bow down and worship your word, because clearly you're not God, because all these preachers are just the biggest bunch of weasels and cowards you've ever met in your life. I mean, they just bow at the altar of Jon Stewart and or whatever his name is. He's not on TV anymore, but pop culture, basically, Well, the way I look at it is they spend their 90% of their lives down on all fours waiting for Caesar to walk by so they can lick the sand from between his toes, I mean, they just worship